Right now, you can have a self-res on your character, and then you can also carry self-reses in your backpack. I think they are going to disallow self-res and kill streaks in backpacks. I think you're going to be able to carry only one self-res, the character inventory one, and only one kill streak, the character inventory one, just like it was in Warzone 1. And I think they're going to leave the backpack, and you'll still be allowed to put extra lethals, tacticals, and ammo, and whatever else you can put there. Gas masks if you're dumb. Activision devs do not play their own game.
3,000 devs can't figure out how to add a reconnect feature to a AAA title, I guess. I don't know.
Because Infinity Ward doesn't tell their consumers anything.
Maybe that'll take some of the sweats away from Shoot House.
You can cope about that, for sure.
Thanks for tweeting, at least. Thanks for doing more than Infinity Ward has done. They just keep tweeting about the soccer bundles in the store.
Things that are bad. We've got a couple words. Why don't you kick it off, Tanner?
This is going to be a longer section than the first part you guys heard.
Change it, obviously, of course. We are live, boys and girls. Welcome to the Dropshot Call of Duty Podcast, episode number 295. My name is Casey, also known as Razinon, in the new studio for the first time ever live, actually. This is our first time being live in the new studio. It is a pleasure and a treat to be here. I am mostly set up in this thing. We'll get into that a little bit. Got a little more unpacking to do. Got a bunch of small boxes, but that sucker's here now. It's just to unload them, put them away. And I'm very excited about that for personally and also for the program. And I'm joined by who isn't moving, who's stagnant.
Really?
Tanner, in the same old studio.
Yeah. Hey, how are you?
How's your studio, man?
Old.
And the same.
And the same, yeah. How was yours?
Couldn't be me. Wasn't worth it. I can say that.
Yeah.
You know, wasn't worth it, but we're here now. So welcome to the program. Today we're talking about Call of Duty. I actually almost said we were talking about Star Wars because I read your message. We're not talking about Star Wars anymore. We're talking about Call of Duty. It is episode 295. If you're a new listener, let me inform you there are timestamps. You can skip to a relevant section to you if you don't want to listen to our little preamble here that we do every episode. So if we do an intro today, if we do announcements for an hour, and you're mad we're not talking about Call of Duty, it is now your fault. Because you could have skipped it, couldn't you? So anyways, welcome to the program. Today we have some things to talk about. We have some things. I want to say not much. And in terms of changes, we actually have literally nothing to talk about. But in terms of news and revelations, we have a decent amount to talk about, and I'm very excited to get into some of this, including, of course, the big ticket item for this week, which is the delay of Season 2, and some interesting little absolute fucking morsels surrounding that, which we will, of course, be getting into. But before that, a couple of announcements. First of all, normally we start the program by welcoming our new patrons. Today, we're welcoming a new patron. Now, normally, I would find this infuriating and unacceptable. But in this case, you know what? Game's been real slow, and we've been more MIA than normal, so fine, I'll allow it. Here's the exception, is this week and only this week.
Yeah.
So we better have patrons, plural, maybe dozens, next week of new patrons, or so help me God, right? Or so help me God. But for now, it's fine. Welcome to our new gold patron, Lee P. Welcome, buddy. I appreciate you, man. I'm
Thanks,
glad
Lee.
you're enjoying the content, Lee, and only you. You know, really carrying the announcements.
Yeah.
This
Shout out
time.
to Lee.
Shout out to Lee. We could have done better. We could have joined at a different tier, but gold's a good start, Lee, isn't it? So thanks, Chief. And we appreciate that. Patreon.com/the is where you could go. You could be one of the dozens who'd better become patrons by next week for those announcements. We do bonus episodes. We do early access for the public episodes. And then those early access episodes are also advertisement free if you're into that sort of thing. So if you wanted all that stuff, mainly the bonus episodes and more, you can check out the website, patreon.com/thedropshot. Or if you just wanted to support us, support the show, you could go to Patreon. That is, of course, the best way to do it. So thank you again, Lee. On the topic of new patrons, or excuse me, a Patreon in general, we have been cooking up some
cook.
Okay.
Stop.
Some episodes this
You're
week.
drumming,
So
not cooking.
I was cooking. So we've
Okay.
recorded 2 Patreon episodes this week. Many of you who are patrons might be confused. I didn't see it. That's because you're a gold patron, obviously. So we haven't done any gold patron episodes yet, but we have done our Platinum and Damascus Q&A Patreon episode and our Damascus behind the scenes episode. These are both now live. And for you gold patrons, don't worry, we haven't forgot. We've got 3 absolute bangers brewing for you.
Yeah.
We're brewing them in the crock pot to cook them up. So those are coming this month. Don't worry. But for now, yeah, we've done our Q&A, which shockingly I enjoyed quite a bit. Mainly because I just went off script at this point.
Oh yeah, it wasn't
your
because
guys'
of the
questions
questions.
are loose suggestions to me at this point. It's like, oh, okay, that's an interesting idea. We'll take it over here instead. And that made it actually quite a fun episode. I really enjoyed the Q&A episode. And then also we did our behind the scenes episode yesterday, and that went live this morning. That was a long episode. It was like 2 hours. And we had a lot to talk about, a lot of business stuff and
Corporate
behind
business.
the scenes things relating to the podcast and, you know, what we're looking to do and improve on and add for the future. And also we talked about personal shit like, you know, I moved. So talked a lot about that. Tanner's going to be moving at a time, sort of.
A year for sure.
He's going to be crossing the street. So we talked about
Not
that
even
as
crossing.
well. Yeah, he's going to be on the same sidewalk, actually. So, yeah. But the behind the scenes was good as well, if you guys are interested in that sort of thing. I know a lot of you who do like those episodes find it particularly interesting to talk about or hear about, rather, things relating to, like, content creation and
That was a
the
long one
business
too.
side.
2 hours.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was good. So those are now live. How did you enjoy those eps, Tanner? Did they go well?
Yeah, we got through about 4 questions on the Q&A. That was
That's
good.
possible.
And then yeah, yesterday's was the 2 hour. We talked about a lot of different shit. A big MANSCAPED announcement thing. Not really.
Yep.
It's not really an announcement. It doesn't change anything for you guys, but it's good for us.
Yeah.
And then yeah, the move, me moving, a lot of other shit. It was a good, nice little long banger to listen to on your shitty day at work.
Yeah.
Your shit little day, you know?
Indeed it was. Yes. Yeah. So once again, yeah, we haven't forgotten. We got 3 more gold bonus eps coming up. These are going to be Call of Duty related, obviously. And I am excited to get my hands back into that for reasons we will talk about today, actually. Mainly, it's SimGG has, like, data mined attachment stats now. And that tremendously impacts my enjoyment of the game, knowing how to build a weapon the way I actually want to, because I know what things do. I really like that. So, but we'll get into that more in a second. As far as announcements go, for you Damascus patrons, we have a hangout this weekend, Saturday night.
Saturday.
At 6 p.m., I believe, Pacific time. So we're going to do something. We got a couple suggestions. Tanner and I are going to mull those over. And that should be fun. I'm excited to do that. So I'll be there, and Tanner will be there, and we're gonna have a fun, jolly old time. If you want a little more details on the Damascus Hangouts, I talked about it in the beginning of the behind the scenes episode. So you can go listen to that, which you guys obviously also have access to. So yeah, be there for that. Other than that, any other
Star Wars
announcements,
Episode
Tanner?
6? We had that. Someone said that in chat. We watched that on Saturday, man.
Oh no, not
Okay,
episode 6.
got it.
Sure can't.
Cool, man.
Sure can't. No.
Yeah, all right.
No thanks. We could watch fucking Aladdin. I mean, that's probably more depressing and gritty than episode 6 is, so
Yeah.
we can do that. Or The Little Mermaid, maybe. More adult than episode 6 is.
Or we could
Trash.
do that.
Here's the jingle.
There it is, man.
You can't do that to me. I didn't like that. I don't like you preempting me.
Get shit on, bitch.
One other announcement too, I guess, actually, gameplay streams probably starting to come back next week. Maybe the week after. Depends on how far along I am on my unpacking and all that shit.
Surely.
Today, Call of Duty, the video game. So, first section here, we talk about patch notes, changes already in effect. There was one patch by Infinity Ward that was a couple of like very minor bug fixes that I'm not even going to talk about. So besides that, there was nothing.
And it was all for
week.
multiplayer, actually. It was nothing Warzone related, I don't think. Well, there was like a firing range fix. Again, it was one of those things where when they overly communicate with us, every bug they listed out that they specifically fixed, I had never heard of or ever encountered personally. It was one of those things. So
yeah,
I didn't put it in here either.
Exactly, yeah. I read all the notes and none of them were relevant at all. So besides that, we got nothing. So instead of that, what we're going to talk about in this section is obviously the delay of season 2, why and what they've said about that. And there's a lot to speculate on there, and there's a lot to potentially get excited about there. But before we do that, I wanted to talk about this first. Sim.gg, which is sym.gg, which is a website we've talked about fairly often. It is a website where you go and you can select attachments for guns to use in MW2/Warzone 2, and it shows what they actually do. So like normally you would expect, oh, okay, if I'm going to put a barrel on a gun in a gunsmith in the video game, it'll show me what the barrel does. You'd be wrong if you thought that, because it gives you like a basic gist. It gives you the gist of what the attachment does. It doesn't actually tell you what it does. So we have to rely on third-party sources such as sim.gg to provide those details. Like, okay, it gives you this many meters per second of bullet velocity, this much more recoil or less, etc., etc. We did not have stats on attachments until sometime this week, very recently. Sim.gg now has datamined attachment stats for most guns and most attachments and most things. One thing I know that it's still missing is hipfire accuracy stats, so those won't show up. But like ADS, recoil control, it is showing details on those. And that is really good. This is like the big thing for me, especially for Warzone. That's going to be, in general, something you're going to pay a lot of attention to, obviously. So now we finally have the datamined stats to really optimize our weapon builds, and that's very exciting. And in tandem with this update, XclusiveAce did some hand testing along with using sim.gg's datamined stats, and he made a nice little video on underbarrels and how they help with recoil, what exactly they do. I will link to the video in the show notes and the video description. I would strongly encourage you guys to go watch it, but I did want to talk about some of the points he made and a couple of highlights. So I have a couple of pictures here. Tanner, if you could pull up that first one. Okay. So this is a screenshot from the video. Again, the video will be linked in the description. I encourage you guys to go watch it. About all the angled foregrips and what they do. Now, keep in mind, again, some of these attachments will help with hip fire accuracy, but we don't have the stats on that yet. So he didn't even bother listing them or testing them. But this is according to Sim and XclusiveAce's hand testing. These are accurate. And this is a kind of graph of all of the angled foregrips, which is one of the 2 categories of underbarrels for recoil control. And you can see that, which is not terribly surprising to me, even though there are 10 angled foregrips, there are only like 4 different impacts on the gun. So for example, the Edge 47, the F-Tac Ripper, and the Demo Firm grip all do the same thing in terms of recoil, at least.
Yeah. They
all have the same ADS penalty of 40 milliseconds, and they all help you with your recoil control the same magnitude, 4%. So I'm not going to go and read through all of these. I just wanted to bring this up to show you guys that there are groupings. Now, there might be differences within a tier. So, for example, the Edge 47 might help with hip fire accuracy, but also harm your movement speed. And the F-Tac Ripper wouldn't have either of those pros or cons, but they're both going to have the same ADS penalty, and then view kick and gun kick recoil control help, if that makes sense. Again, if you watch the video, it'll make more sense. But this was interesting. Again, I'm not going to read through all of these things, but you can see at least this. Tier 1 is what helps you the most with recoil control. And it's really only helping you 4%, which is decent, but not super crazy. And on the other hand, the ADS penalty is only plus 40 milliseconds, which is really not that bad. So one thing to keep in mind as well, if we could pull up the second, wait, let me see. No, don't pull up the second picture.
That's vertical foregrips.
Yeah,
you want the angle, the third?
The third one.
Okay,
yeah, the third one. So one thing to keep in mind is that even though, here's a picture of the angled foregrips, all the tier 1 angled foregrips, okay, they're recoil plots. Even though they all help you by 4% in your recoil control, they're still going to look different to each other. So they're still going to have slightly different recoil patterns. So if you wanted to use an angled foregrip and get the max recoil control, you can still pick between 3 different options. And even though the magnitude of at which they're going to help your recoil is the same, the pattern will be slightly different. So for example, the Edge 47 seems to go left. The F-Tac Ripper seems to go right, at least at first, if that makes sense. So you can kind of experiment between the 3 that help the most with recoil to also find for you which pattern is best. And that's partially going to be based on what the base recoil pattern of the gun is like. So if the gun kicks left a lot, you might want to take an angled foregrip that takes it right, as far as pattern is concerned, if that makes sense. So again, I'm not going to describe all the plots to you guys. I'm not going to read you guys all the numbers, but I just thought this is interesting information to have. And then now if we can pull up picture 2, here are the vertical foregrips. Again, there are 9 vertical foregrips, but there are only 3 different pro-con lists. So for example, 4 of the vertical foregrips have the same ADS penalty and the same recoil control help. So that's the reason I wanted to pull this up. Now, notably, by the way, you'll notice the tier 1 vertical foregrips, 40 milliseconds slower aim down sight time, which is the same as the best angled foregrips in terms of ADS penalty. But instead of 4% recoil control, you're getting 9% recoil control.
Wow.
The vertical foregrips are fucking way better for aim down sight recoil control than angled foregrips are, because they have the same ADS penalty but they help with the recoil by more than double, which is particularly relevant for Warzone. Now, I think the reason you'd want to use an angled foregrip instead of a vertical foregrip would be for the movement speed, probably.
Yeah, so like I'm looking right now, the VX Pineapple. I'm looking on the sim, has a huge hit to your movement speed. Like I just picked a random gun, like on a random AR, it hits your forward movement speed by 0.51 milliseconds, whereas like the FTAC Ripper, that still hits it, but 0.23.
But by less,
yeah.
So
that's a pretty good trade-off, actually.
I would say overall for like Warzone, vertical foregrips are going to be more worth it than angled foregrips for your like long range AR or whatever. But it's just nice to have the stats.
Yeah.
That's my biggest point. And then another thing is that sim.gg, unsurprisingly, these numbers seem to be accurate. That's what XclusiveAce came to from hand testing the attachments. He's like, yeah, this seems right.
Yeah.
So you could trust sim.gg at least on these metrics. I think you can trust them on pretty much everything. Maybe not quite yet because they're not like finalized, but everything that they've added that JGod or XclusiveAce have tested themselves and talked about has seemed to line up.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on all this?
They don't help nearly as much as I thought they would. I think, I don't know. I think sim is kind of, from what we've been looking at today, it's kind of showing that I think suppressors in both Warzone and multiplayer are not necessarily the move, but a lot of people are just so used to running them from Warzone 1 that they continue to do that. Yeah. And I don't think it's worth it when you can run something like a muzzle brake attachment that's going to give you way more recoil control than a underbarrel does and way more recoil control than a suppressor does without a bunch of the penalties that the suppressor has.
Yes.
So I don't know. I think if people will start using sim and actually looking at it, I think they'll realize that they could build their guns a lot better. Basically only better, and like no downsides to what they're currently running. So these don't help as much as I thought they did. But I am shocked that the vertical foregrips give a lot more recoil control than the angled. Because in like multiplayer, a lot of people run
shark fin.
The shark fin, yeah. And like the phase 3 and stuff, but I don't know. I guess in multiplayer, you also don't want like really negative movement speeds, which these vertical grips are giving you. So
yeah, that matters a lot more in multiplayer movement speed for your primary for sure. Yeah. So the point here, and again, I'll link to the video. I would encourage you guys to go watch it. Even though he's only talking about the underbarrels and recoil control, the bigger point that we wanted to talk about is sim.gg now has datamined attachment stats. So like Tanner and I were looking at the RAL and some other attachments outside of that category, muzzle devices, and like Tanner just said, suppressors help way less with recoil control than muzzle brakes do. So that's something worth looking
less
into.
Than most of the barrels do too that we were checking.
Yeah.
The only benefit you're getting from suppressors in Warzone is added velocity. And they do give a good amount of velocity, but I don't know if the recoil is so bad at range, and your velocity is not going to matter because you're going to miss so many shots anyways.
And you can get like 10x the velocity as any suppressor will give you by running the high velocity rounds, which you probably should be anyway. So that's another thing to consider too. I think as far as long range ARs go, or LMGs, whatever, the only time I would run a suppressor is if I really wanted to stay off the mini map, or I'm still unclear how that works, by the way. Stay off the compass, which I don't really care to. Or if that AR does not have access to high velocity rounds, which some of them don't. And in that case, you got to get your velocity somewhere. So then maybe I will run a suppressor at that point. But yeah, the video's linked. But more importantly, I think you guys should go to sim.gg and reevaluate all of your Warzone guns setups. Because some things you have are probably out of habit from Warzone 1 because you ran the same attachments on every gun. I think that's different now. And you'll also be able to learn, like a question we had talked about is, would I rather run the stock for recoil control or the rear grip for recoil control on the raw? Because in game, when you go to the handling bar and you look at the underbarrel, or excuse me, you look at the rear grip versus the stock, they both help recoil control or handling, whatever. Or no, accuracy. They both increase it the same amount. But in reality, turns out rear grip is almost double in the raw's case, the recoil control, and it has no downsides, but the stock does have a downside, and it helps with your recoil less. Even though, according to the game, they both increase accuracy by the same amount on the stupid fucking bar graph that is arbitrary and meaningless, as we have been telling you that we suspected was the case. So go to sim.gg and evaluate your gun setups. If you really want to max your recoil, look at every category, see what does that, and then adjust your builds based on that information. I did this with my raw. The only thing I ended up changing, I got off the side grip and went to the rear grip for recoil control, because even though it's a little less recoil control, it has no downsides. So it's 0.04 instead of 0.07. But there's literally no downsides, and the side grip has like 7. So I said, okay, well, that's not worth it for 0.03 extra recoil control, as Tanner suspected. And I went to my muzzle device and changed that as well to another one that helped with horizontal recoil control in game. But turns out it's like 0.30 recoil control.
It's a ton. It's like 30% reduction.
Which is giga noticeable. Yeah, super noticeable. So I use this to alter my setups. I would encourage you guys to do the same. That's the big
thing. And that build, by the way, I've been getting all of a sudden a lot of DMs or people asking in Discord. Are you done with, or do we already talk about this vertical chart or no? Are you going to? Okay.
Yeah. I think we're all good on this.
Okay, so a lot of people have been DMing or like adding me in Discord asking what the RAL build is. If you guys are in the Discord, go to the Warzone General channel. Up at the top of Discord, there's a pinned messages button. Click that. My RAL build I've been using, which is the one we put in the sim, and it is very good and it feels very good. That is a pinned message in Warzone General. So if you're not in the Discord, join it. It'll be down below in the video notes or in the description. So that's the build we're rocking. Choose whatever optic you want, but those attachments are the best attachments in my opinion.
Yes, indeed. I am also adding a gun builds channel to both the Warzone and multiplayer categories in our Discord. So.
Oh, you're doing it, huh?
Yeah, I'm just going to do it. So if you guys want to post your gun builds or get ours, they will be there in the future. So there you go. That is done.
I'm going to post that RAL build in there right now. Then.
General. Yeah. So you can find the RAL build in the gun builds channel. So there you go. All right. So let me just do some fucking finishing touches on this little sucker here. Let's see here. But yeah, I fucking love Sim. It's just so good and helpful. So there you go. All right.
Cool.
All done. All right. So yeah, we got gun builds channels now. One for multiplayer, one for Warzone. There you go. Moving on here, onto the big ticket item. Activision in a statement that was posted at a time. I believe this was yesterday. They tweeted an image, and it says this. Season 2 will be launching on February 15th. Originally, it was going to be launching on the 1st. That was my addition. Back to the quote. Our studio teams have been making several changes based on what we've heard from our player community. Season 2 includes all new content with a return of Resurgence and a brand new small map for Warzone 2.0. So now we're getting confirmation on that leak we've talked about.
Yeah, that was real.
Ranked play is also back and coming to MW2, multiplayer specifically is what they refer to there, along with new multiplayer maps, new modes, weapons, and much more. Stay tuned for additional intel. In addition, Charlie Intel says that Infinity Ward has also stated there are exciting changes to Warzone 2.0, including the gulag, looting, and loadouts. All very contentious little items there. So we will take these one by one.
I want to say something, by the way, about the statement. They say, our studio team's been making several changes based on what we have heard from our player community. What happened from the beta and alpha then to the launch of MW2 when everyone gave suggestions constantly about the game, red dots, all sorts of major gameplay decisions, and they just didn't listen? They're like, yeah, no, we're not doing any of that. And then now they are going back when it comes to Warzone and going to be changing probably major parts of the game. Maybe you should just listen to what the overwhelming majority of the player base actually wants to start with, you know, make your fucking life easier.
So simple.
I god damn. And they will never ever ever learn, unfortunately, ever.
It's insane to me, and it seems like yeah. I'm very curious what they're going to change, but you're absolutely right. If you guys are willing to listen to feedback after all, you should have just done it before you fucking lost so many players. Like, you could have just not lost a huge swath of your player base by listening to feedback in the first place, instead of waiting until your player count dropped precipitously to finally, like, relent. You should have been able to see this coming, I guess is my point. As Activision. But they're Activision, so of course they don't know anything about that. So again, Infinity Ward also said there are exciting changes to Warzone, including the gulag, looting, and loadout. So I want to take these one by one. First of all, the gulag. So in the gulag case, they did say more about that. Infinity Ward tweeted 1v1s today, in fact. 1v1s are back in Battle Royale. Gulag updates are coming in Season 2. We'll be sharing more details about this in next week's studio blog. And that's going to be, cool. It looks like, posted on Raven's blog, which means it'll actually be well written and cohesive, concise, and will communicate something.
I think it's just the way they tweeted it. Raven tweeted the same exact thing as Infinity Ward and tagged Infinity Ward. But that's it. Maybe we'll get an actual blog that matters. That'd be cool. Because there's been some things going around lately. I think it was an Apex blog that's being posted. Apex devs constantly talk about how their matchmaking system works. And I guess they posted some like long blog about it a few days ago saying they're changing the way their matchmaking works a little bit. And they talk about skill-based matchmaking and what exists and everything. It'd be so cool if we ever actually got anything like that in some sort of studio blog. But, I don't know if Activision will allow that.
Yeah, probably not. Probably not on fucking matchmaking or anything. But on the topic of the gulag,
I'll be right back. I have to sign for a package, I guess.
On the topic of the gulag, I am obviously incredibly pleased that it's going back to 1v1. I do wonder what else that is going to mean, though. So, first of all, kudos to Activision, finally, for figuring out no one wants the 2v2 gulag, change it. And they are actually doing it. This is really good news, and I can't see how this is going to make the gulag worse unless they dramatically change other aspects of it such that it's like a wash. I don't think that's going to happen. So really glad the gulag is going back to 1v1. I think everyone pretty much is. That's good. You guys tried. Better luck next time, I guess. What I do wonder, though, is what else will change about the gulag? For example, are you still going to load in? Is there still going to be like shit on the ground you can pick up and loot? For example, extra lethals, extra tacticals, armor vests, things like that. Curious about that. Also curious if we're going to be on the same map. I'm barely curious about this because it's almost certainly going to be the same gulag.
Oh, for sure.
Which is good because I really like the current gulag map itself. I think it's a fantastic gulag map, actually. Maybe one of the best we've ever had, but
yeah, the map's
it's hard for me to say because I've only played it in 2v2s with a jailer, which is awful. So it's hard to assess that at this time. Hopefully I'll be able to tell you guys more once we actually get a more traditional gulag, the form of a 1v1. So yeah, are you going to be able to loot things? Is it going to be on the same map? Almost certainly. But also, how's the jailer going to work? Are we still doing that dog shit when it's a 1v1? Or are we going back to a regular assed overtime? And does this matter? What do you think?
I hope the jailer's gone. Definitely not necessary in a 1v1 at all. My only wonder with the map is if it will feel too big being 1v1, because it's definitely the largest gulag we've ever had. Absolutely, it's wide, yeah. And it's long, so
yes. I
don't see the way it's designed. I'm not sure how they can make it smaller without just ruining it. I guess you can't even shrink the lanes because there's so much in the middle too. I don't even know how that would work.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's why I'm concerned about the map a tiny bit, because it is going to be really big. I don't think it would be too big, though. I think it would be fine. But if you wanted to like hide from someone till jailer, you could do it like fairly easily, I feel like. But if they wanted to, because they're not going to like design a new gulag map for Al Mazrah. I find that inconceivable. At least by season 2.
No, we're not getting a new gulag yet. Yeah.
So the only thing they could do to make it smaller that would make any sense, I think, is to just bring up the spawn points and then like cut off the back ends that where you used to spawn.
Yeah.
So you spawn like 10 feet closer to mid each, and then all the 10 feet behind you, you somehow block it off. Put boxes there, put walls there, something like that.
Yeah.
But that sounds like it would be a lot of development work, and I don't expect that to happen. So
yeah, I don't think we'll have a jailer anymore. If anything, we'll probably go back to the traditional gulag where there's a flag capture, I would imagine, because then that would also alleviate kind of the issues of the map being too large. If there's a reason to go to the middle of the map to try to cap that flag, you can't just sit in the back and survive from the jailer. So I think that alone would make the large gulag playable pretty much, because you'll have to be ready to jump on that flag, because if it's almost the same timer as it was before, a lot of times you may not even be in a gunfight before that flag spawn is up, so it'll give people something to fight over at least. I think that would pretty much solve the issue, actually.
I think that would solve the issue, which probably means we're not getting an overtime flag and the jailer's here to stay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true.
And that'll be a fun and exciting strat. When you get in a gulag, you're looking for the guy for 20 minutes, and then the jailer spawns and fucks your ass while he hides from both of you.
Yeah.
That's going to be really
cool.
You
ever get your ass fucked by a jailer?
Nope, not yet. Hopefully never. So anyway, overall though, if they change nothing else but make it 1v1, I would still consider that an improvement, honestly. So this is good news. There. So
breaking news. Manscaped now sells beard products. That is right. They are once again revolutionizing men's grooming with the brand new Beard Hedger Pro. From a beard trim to a fresh shave, the technology behind the Beard Hedger Pro Kit allows you to shape your signature beard look. Now you can finally use Manscaped products to make your drapes match your carpet by going to manscaped.com and using code DROPSHOT for 20% off and free shipping. It's time to tame your mane. No one likes a weird beard, so say goodbye to all your stubble trouble with Manscaped's Pro Beard Kit. It all starts with the Beard Hedger. This thing is a juggernaut of fixing faces. First off, this cordless trimmer has a rotary wheel that gives you 20 hair cutting lengths all in one guard, so no more messy drawers full of extra add-ons and junk. That's right, face grooming doesn't need to be hard. Get 20 different beard lengths in just one single guard. It's waterproof also. You can shave in the shower to avoid all that hair in the sink. The titanium coated T-blade is tough on hair but smooth on your face, leading to a single stroke efficiency that brings satisfaction one stroke at a time. The Pro Kit doesn't end there though. They have created 4 dermatologist tested formulations for your post-trim care. First, there's the beard shampoo and conditioner. You need to remember all your hair is different. Your beard hair is more coarse and easier to damage than the hair on your tiny little head. That's why the kit has made shampoo and conditioner specifically designed to moisturize, reduce ingrown hairs, replace natural oils, and promote beard health. Next, the kit has MANSCAPED's Beard Oil, an essential piece for your main facial accessory. No one wants a guy whose beard is brittle and dry. The oil relieves dryness both in the beard and the skin beneath while adding a little shimmer and shine, making you look, extra fine. Cap the kit with the Beard Balm, a pomade that shapes, styles, moisturizes, and tames for a sculpted look to attract any fellows or women. The Pro Beard also come with 3 free gifts: a brush, a comb, and scissors to ensure your beard is ready to impress. So, get 20% off and free shipping with the code Dropshot at manscaped.com. 20% off, free shipping at manscaped.com. Use code Dropshot. Manscaped Beard Hedger, 1 stroke, 1 guard, 20 lengths.
In Infinity Ward statement, the second thing they said, again, gulag, looting, and loadouts are going to be the exciting changes. Exciting changes to looting. Unlike the gulag, we have no other details at this time on what that means. What do you think constitutes an exciting change to looting in Infinity Ward's eyes?
Oh, well, obviously,
based on player feedback.
Obviously, the best thing for the players would be to just completely revert this and go back to a Warzone 1 style looting. That's not going to happen, though. So what is going to happen? More shit needs to drop out of the backpack when you kill someone. I think looting also is going to mean caps on self-revives, caps on streaks that you can carry. Maybe like the duffel bags just shouldn't exist. Just wherever the duffel bag spawns are, add just ground loot spawns there. So you don't have to open another container. Like, why do we need chests, duffel bags, medicine cabinets? The medicine cabinets, whatever, those can stay. Or just, spawn self-res and stims or something in the bathroom on the floor when you walk in. I don't know. That would still be better, but of course they're not going to do that. I think it just needs to be less container looting. That's the biggest issue. Is it so much container loot now instead of just easily running over stuff and picking up shit on the ground that you see? It's just wasted time every single match.
Interesting. Here's what I think they're going to do. I think what they're going to do is, so currently you have, again, I like to frame it this way. You have like your player inventory, so like things on your character. And then you also have your backpack inventory. So things that are not equipped, but that are in the backpack. So you have, like, for example, character ammo for AR. You can carry 210 plus whatever's in your mag. And then if you want more AR ammo, you can have it, but it's going to be in your backpack. So those are the 2 separate inventory systems. Right now, you can have a self-res on your character in the 1 dedicated character slot, and then you can also carry self-reses in your backpack. So you could have 1 equipped and 5 in your backpack. I think they are going to disallow self-res and kill streaks in backpacks. So you'll be able to carry...
Completely, you think, huh?
I think that's what they're going to do, honestly. Yeah. I think you're going to be able to carry only 1 self-res, the character inventory one, and only 1 kill streak, the character inventory one, just like it was in Warzone 1. And I think they're going to leave the backpack and you'll still be allowed to put extra lethals, tacticals, and ammo, and whatever else you can put there. Gas masks if you're dumb. I think that seems to me to be the most likely, because they want to do this based on player feedback. And besides quality of life improvements to looting, I think the biggest thing people are mad about in terms of design choices is that you can carry unlimited self-reses and streaks. I think that is what people are complaining about most. And if they're making exciting changes to looting, I think that's what that means. Because I don't think they would say they're making exciting changes to looting and then the exciting change be that I actually automatically pick up ammo when I run over it now. That needs to happen, but I don't think that they would refer to that as an exciting change. I think they would refer to that instead as a quality of life update to looting, if that makes sense.
That doesn't make any sense, though, because then there's actually no reason to have the backpack system if they do that.
You would still be able to carry extra ammo and extra tacticals and lethals and gas masks.
Yeah, then that's going to lead to just
weapons
tactical
in
and
the
lethal
dedicated
spawn, so
slot.
then they'd have to end up nerfing that. Because then if no one can carry anything besides extra plates and ammo, what are they going to do? They're just going to start carrying
and plates,
10 flash grenades. I feel like if they're going to limit it that way, they'll limit it to like one streak and one self-revive in your backpack. And then you can also have the one on your character or something.
That just seems a lot harder to code. That's why I don't think they're going to do that.
Yeah, I think the way you're saying just doesn't make any sense, which is why they would do it, I guess.
Yeah,
at that point, actually just remove the backpack system.
I don't know. I think it still makes some sense. You have to pick between carrying more AR ammo or more plates, or more
just let people carry an
extra
extra 60 rounds of ammo, and you don't need the backpack anymore, and let your player have 6 plates instead of 3, and the backpack's just useless.
But they're not going to do that, like you said. They're not going to get rid of their backpacks. So, I see your argument, and part of me agrees, but that they're not going to get rid of the backpack system completely. I don't believe that'll ever happen. So this is what I think is the most likely thing to happen. I'm not necessarily advocating for it, but I will say this. I would be in favor of the change that I think is going to happen, meaning you can only have one self or streak on you at a time. I think that would be an improvement over what we have now. Would it make backpacks largely obsolete, like Tanner is saying? Yeah. It would make them much more obsolete. It would make the backpack system a lot more obsolete. But it would still be, I think, a better gameplay experience than having to down someone in solos 8 times to kill them, or getting absolutely spammed with kill streaks every single game always.
Yeah. That's an interesting thought from Walt. That's a pretty good idea, actually. Medium and large backpacks could carry an extra streak or selfie, like have a specific spot. What if the weapon slot was like a special slot, so you can either put one gun in it, one self-revive, or like one streak? That could be interesting. They won't do it because that makes a lot of sense, but that would be interesting too.
That would be
a good way to balance it too, because then it's like, I have a large backpack. Should I carry a sniper? Should I carry an extra self? Should I carry an extra kill streak? What should I have here? You know, that could be interesting.
Medium backpack
makes
gets
a lot
one
of sense,
special
actually.
slot, and then large backpack gets 2 special slots where you can carry a weapon, a self, or a streak. That's a great suggestion.
That combined with being able to finally, hopefully, loot dead players' backpacks after you kill them would add a different dynamic to the game too.
You think we'll be able to loot actual backpacks now?
You should be able to. There's no fucking reason we can't. I mean, it's so stupid.
So if I pick up a large backpack and then Tanner kills me, he can loot from my large backpack, but he can't take the large backpack himself and get himself more slots.
Yeah.
You should be able to do that. Maybe that's coming too. I would hope it will.
Yeah. Oh, the backpack's just sitting on the ground, but you can't pick it up.
It's so dumb. Yeah, it's so dumb. But
that's
an interesting
that
thought.
could make
Maybe
a different change too.
But I doubt it. I think that would be the best solution, the special slot kind of thing. That's a really good idea. So we're not getting it.
Good idea, Walt, not getting it. Yeah.
And then the last of those 3 things is loadouts. Exciting changes to Warzone 2.0 loadouts. Whatever could that mean?
Well, again, as we've been saying, so kind of with the backpacks, I guess, since you're right, they're not going to remove them. Because Joe Seacott thought for 3 years on how to make Warzone worse, and he came up with that idea. That's not going anywhere. Shout out to Joe Seacott. You should be fired. I feel like the AI strongholds are staying. I don't think that will change very much at all. If anything, maybe just they'll continue to add more strongholds where you can get a loadout. But I feel like maybe I would like first loadout drop, everyone to have their own loadout again. Instead of the 6 they drop free across the map, goes back to Warzone 1, you get an early loadout, or put it a little bit later, and every team gets their own loadout drop again. It's based on where you are in the map. It'll land in the circle like they had in Caldera. So if you're outside of the circle, it'll land in the next zone, or in that current zone, I guess, right on the edge as close as possible, pretty much.
Yeah.
That would be good. And I think going along with loadouts, I think they will go back on their word, and we will get some sort of customizable perk packages, whether it's fully customizable or not. That's something we had kind of talked about. We got on a little tangent in one of the Patreon episodes that we recorded, talking about that. About like maybe they'll let you change your ultimate perk, or maybe 2 or 3 of the perks will be set, but you'll be able to pick like the other 1 or 2 or something out of their perk packages, something like that. But some sort of customization to the perks, I believe, will be coming. Yeah, because that's what makes Warzone is customizable loadouts, customizable perks. As much as I don't want everyone to run Ghost, and Ghost should be nerfed with the start of Season 2, it shouldn't work if you're sitting still. That's another story. But I just think we need that in Warzone. That's been part of the main... That's been part of the core that people have liked since the beginning.
Yeah. I think you're probably right about... I think one of those 2 changes are the most likely, if not both, to be implemented in Season 2. I don't know what else would constitute an exciting change to loadouts from Infinity Ward's perspective based on player feedback, other than every team gets a loadie drop instead of only however many there are, and or being able to customize perks. Although I will say I find the customizable perks the less likely of those 2, unfortunately. I can't see what else an exciting change to loadouts would be besides those 2 things.
We talked about early on
taking out strongholds. There's no way.
We talked about maybe just like have every stronghold be a loadout stronghold. The only issue with that, well, there'd be a bunch of issues actually. There'd be a ton of AI on the map, and that would cause frame rate drops. So never mind, I don't want that. But I was gonna say like it would create like a UI issue on the map if it shows every stronghold or something, unless they just stop showing them. But if you could get a loadout from any stronghold anywhere on the map, that could be kind of interesting. Maybe not though, then, because people then would just hang out by a stronghold knowing there's going to be a loadout there and maybe not fight. Yeah, never mind. The more I think about it, I don't think that's a good idea.
Yeah, it's a good little brainstorm, but yeah, I think you're right. But so to cap this off, of those 3 things, all of those changes that we think are likely would be improvements on the game.
And those are 3 of the main things people complain about: the gulag, the looting system, and the loadout system. So
yes, exactly. So this is good news. I think pretty much no matter how you spin it. I don't think Infinity Ward is the best in terms of responding to player feedback. They're clearly the worst, in fact, of the Activision studios.
Correct.
But I don't think they're going to drop the ball so hard that these changes make Warzone 2 somehow worse. I don't believe it. I think these are all going to be largely positive changes, independent of the bugs that we're undoubtedly going to get. But, 2 weeks after Season 2 comes out, I think Warzone 2 is going to look a lot better than it does right now, no matter what exactly those changes are going to entail are. And that's really exciting and really good news, because we have not gotten any substantive changes really in a very long time. And we could absolutely use some big sweeping changes to these core gameplay elements that people are really annoyed with. Yeah. So this is really good. I'm really excited by this.
The game can't get worse. I think that's just about a guarantee.
That's how a lot of people feel.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can't get worse with this update.
So. Infinity Ward also tweeted, "We look forward to sharing more details on the updates coming to Season 2. Again, in a deep dive studio blog next week." And then, so that's kind of that.
Yeah.
Next up here is a tweet from Treyarch. MW2 ranked play is coming at the launch of Season 2.
At the launch of Season 2, yep.
There will be more details to share closer to the launch date as well.
Yeah, so people were kind of wondering if that was like reloaded or not, or on launch, but it is when Season 2 launches on February 15th, there will be Modern Warfare 2 ranked play.
Yes, which is cool, which is good. And that might even be something Tanner and I dip our toes in again. We did that for Vanguard,
yeah.
And it was actually
it was pretty fun. It was
a fun little experience doing ranked play and doing an episode on that. So I think we can commit to that. We could do another episode on ranked play it for
I like MW2.
At least an afternoon.
Multiplayer a lot better than Vanguard too, so.
Yeah, I think that could be actually a lot of fun. So we'll give that a try. And that'll be coming on the launch of season 2. So for those of you who do ranked play, keep that in mind. Another thing, by the way, there is a CDL Mosh Pit playlist right now in the game in multiplayer. So if you wanted to practice for when ranked play comes out, get used to the limitations, get used to the game modes. Now's the time to do it unranked so that when it comes out, you're kind of familiar with all of that when it launches. So that's cool. What have we got next here, buddy?
Moving on here, this is kind of an interesting little tweet that Charlie Intel brought up a couple days ago. They say, you cannot make this up. On January 19th, 2022, last year, Vanguard Season 2 was delayed from February 2nd to February 14th to fix issues and content. Now, on January 18th, 2023, Modern Warfare 2 Season 2 delayed from February 1st to February 15th to fix issues and add content. Have Activision executives not learned anything? Wow. And then went back and found the old tweets from Charlie Intel.
Almost to the day.
From January 19th, 2022, and they say, Season 2 delayed to prioritize fixes. And then they made a little announcement. Our priority is your gameplay experience, is what they said about Warzone. We've rescheduled the start of Season 2 across Warzone and Vanguard. We will use this at a time across development to fix game stability as well as bugs, ensure an overall level of polish, really, for players. Polish your game by launch. And to deliver updates including optimizations for gameplay and game balance. So yeah, throwback to last year when they said, and it was essentially, and I quote, we will be prioritizing fixing bugs before adding new content, and then they had a massive content update 2 weeks later and didn't fix all the bugs. So surely, things will change though, right?
Smile.
And then another thing here that they had said in a blog post last year, our community is experiencing issues across Vanguard, Warzone specific, and Modern Warfare. We feel your frustrations and hear you loud and clear. Smile, a year later, they're pulling the same shit. Then they've talked about how they've delayed updates. Upcoming implementations will address several concerns raised by the community. Oh, wow. That's crazy. Same thing. You make a bunch of changes nobody likes, and then 3 or 4 months later you say, oh, let's start listening to the community. Jesus fucking Christ. God, it's just... Oh my God, man. Every year we go through the same thing. And another tweet from last year from Charlie Intel, last one. The devs also said actions speak louder than words, and they are working to make updates starting with Season 2 to fix the game. Oh, wow. They're again trying to fix the game going into Season 2 a year later. And that they will not make excuses for how messed up it is right now. Wow. Oh, by the way, also stated launching Caldera in December before the holidays was a mistake. Really? Oh, wow. When did you launch Warzone 2 this year? Before the holidays. Fuck you.
Yep.
It's just, God damn it, man.
Yep.
And that's not the fault of the devs. That's the fault of Bobby Kotick and the shareholders needing to make billions of dollars before the end of the year. So, of course, what will never change? A major title. So obviously we should have gotten Modern Warfare 2 when we did. That was fine. And then we get Warzone 2 in February or March. That's what should have happened. But that's never going to happen. What's going to happen next year and the year following? The same issues. We'll see the same tweets. Charlie Intel in 2025 will be quote tweeting all of these again, saying how they've said the same thing 3 or 4 years in a row and nothing have changed because nothing will change. That is the Activision COD cycle right there. So that's fun and exciting.
Fun and exciting, indeed. Yes. There's just no excuse to be... You can't be surprised if you're going to give your employees 3 weeks off, like a week after the game launches, that people are going to be dissatisfied with that. So one thing I will say, though, is that I respect, on the topic of like how they released Warzone 2 and it's way different than Warzone 1, and they're just going to end up reverting everything back to how Warzone 1 works, like the loadouts and, all that stuff. So I respect that the devs and the publisher is trying to do something different with Warzone 2, because you really don't want to release a new game that is virtually identical to Warzone 1, except in terms of like map and engine. Like, you don't want to release Warzone 2 and everything works exactly the same. The loadout timing is the same. The circle timing is the same. The looting is the same. The, weapons behave like the same. The gunsmith is the same. I respect that you do have to kind of innovate, add new things, maybe even take some risks as a developer and a publisher to push the envelope and not just constantly be re-releasing the exact same game with the exact same formula every year. I respect that. Fine. But there is obviously a way to do that that is not as drastic as the step from Warzone 1 to Warzone 2 launch. Like, the 2v2 gulag is a perfect example of somewhere where we did not need to innovate, and certainly not in this way. It is not a surprise to anyone who has played the game before that a 2v2 gulag is a bad idea. So you can do innovations and you could take risks, and sometimes you might get it wrong. But we took a lot of fucking risks with Warzone 2. We changed a lot of things. There are strongholds now. There's AI now. This is all, the circles like split up differently now. It's all very weird. The circle splitting, I think that's a good innovation. It's different, doesn't break the game, but it does change a lot how the games can feel. And that's like a good innovation. 2v2 gulag, terrible innovation. So I respect that they need to innovate. And there are a lot of people who are saying, who have, especially at launch, this discourse was common. People were like, wow, Warzone 2 is different, and everyone's all mad because they wanted the exact same game. But if we got the exact same game as Warzone 1, those same people would be bitching and saying this is just a copy of Warzone 1. You can't please the COG community. That is a facile argument, because really what we're saying is, let's change some things up. Let's innovate in certain areas, but we got way too crazy with Warzone 2 and how many things are wildly different than Warzone 1. There's innovation, and then there is just going hog wild. And that's what happened. And that's why we are seeing all of these reversions, and probably further reversions once we get specifics on what is changing with Season 2. Gulag getting reverted back to what it used to be. Loadouts are and will probably continue to get closer to how they performed in Warzone 1.
It'll be more accessible.
It'll be more similar to what Warzone 1 was. It's not a surprise that a lot of these things are getting reverted, because they tried to get too crazy with the innovations. So no one is saying don't innovate at all. We're just saying be smart about it. But they can't, because they don't play their own game and they want to do all the craziest possible shit, which they shouldn't have done. So I just wanted to kind of knock down that straw man argument that people do tend to have. Oh, you guys can't be pleased. You'll complain if it's the same game, but you'll also complain if it's different. What do you want? Shut up. There are obviously ways to do this correctly. So, anyways,
yeah, it's like
not a surprise that Activision
the looting
is recycling the same mistakes.
Yeah, the looting changes, that was not an innovation at all. You literally just made the gameplay strictly worse by changing the looting system the way that you did. And same thing with AI. That's something no one would ever, not a single person in the world aside from someone working at Infinity Ward was like, oh, dude, adding AI to Battle Royale would be a really cool change. That's not innovation either. That's just like, what the fuck are you doing? It's just... Yeah. It's an insane change, so I don't, and that's never going away. Unfortunately, they will always be there in some form, but let's just hope they play a lesser role than they do now.
Yeah, I agree,
and I hope they address that in the blog post next week
for sure. So anyway, so that's it for this section. Now on to news and upcoming changes. We've got a couple other little interesting tidbits. One more very interesting tidbit, but before that, what do we got here, Tanner?
Yeah, this is from Who's Immortal. He pointed out something on the iDub Trello board. They have posted something saying, we are aware of an issue where the Birdseye perk does not function as intended within Battle Royale. So basically, I think those like constant sweeps you get is not intended. Or I just wish they would be clear for once, and instead of just saying like, we're aware of this issue, something doesn't work as intended. Well, how is it supposed to work? Can you at least just tell us, oh, it's giving you this and it's not supposed to do that? So that's cool. So there will be some sort of Birdseye fix. I'm sure that won't come until season 2 either, so that's a month away, unfortunately. So, if you want to use busted Birdseye perk where you still see people even if they're ghosted, then, take advantage of that now for the next month.
Birdseye is, it's super bugged in like a really fucking drastic way, and they just haven't changed it still. It's insane. But no surprise there. It's not working as intended. Kind of surprised they finally know about it. I can't believe it took them this long, but whatever. So that'll be good. I mean, that bug with the Birdseye perk where you see everyone's UAV calls is insane. So only another month until they fix it. Smile. Been in since launch, by the way. I can't. It's such a big whatever. Anyway, moving on. At least they're aware of it now. So hopefully by season 2, which I expect, honestly, that'll be fixed, and Birdseye will be complete dog shit again. Or for the first time in Warzone, actually, since it's literally always been bugged. Smile. Game came out months ago, by the way. Last little news item here, second to last, is once again, oh, no, sorry. Here's another little rumor about COD Mobile. There is a rumor that claims Rebirth Island specifically will be added to Call of Duty Warzone Mobile. So for you mobile gamers, you're getting Verdansk. Looks like you're also getting Rebirth Island. This is technically a rumor, but I completely and utterly and totally believe it, and I would be shocked if it wasn't coming to Warzone Mobile, which I think is a great idea, by the way. They already have the design for it. Seems easy enough. The map played well for Resurgence. I think it's a good move for them. So that's cool. Yeah.
It'll get people, more than anything, it won't bring mobile players in, but they'll get more downloads that way. Because some guys, Swag, will be like, oh, Rebirth is back, and then he'll play Warzone Mobile on Rebirth for literally one match and make a YouTube video of it, and it'll get them a bunch of publicity and more downloads and stuff like that. Yeah, that's, I think, what it's there for.
Yeah. So that's cool, though. Shout out to the Warzone Mobile players. It's just more content. And Rebirth Island's a solid map, so that's cool. And then last thing I want to talk about here is kind of funny. There was a lot of hubbub in the CDL scene earlier last year, late last year, actually, where Scump tweeted some big fucking video series announcing that 2023 will be the last year he competes in the Call of Duty League. And he said, I'm excited to move on, whatever. This is going to be my last time competing in the CDL, blah, blah, blah. But this week, at some point, I think this was yesterday or 2 days ago, Scump tweeted another video that actually, he said, you know what? Nah, not competing this year. Don't wanna. I'm done now. So Scump is officially retired. He will not be playing in the CDL. He is a very big name in that scene. He's been a pro for 40 years. Even though he's not 40 years old, I don't know how that's possible, but he's played in every CDL.
I think he's played 11 years in competitive COD is what it is.
Which is insane because he's like still in his 20s.
It's like 25 or 26, I think.
So yeah, really big name in the COD community. It was a really big deal when he announced he was going to retire after the season. And likewise, it's also a big deal that he's announcing he's not even going to bother doing this season. A lot of people are making fun of Call of Duty by saying you guys made Scump retire even earlier than he was going to because MW2 is so trash or whatever. I find these tweets deeply amusing, but probably not real. He's probably just burnt out. I don't think the caliber of MW2 competitive play had anything to do with it.
Oh, I'm sure it does. I mean, he was supposed to play out the whole season. He just literally quit in the middle of it. He's like, oh, fuck this. That's absolutely part. I mean, all the CDL players hate IW games for competitive. They're still complaining about everything. They still want red dots in the mini-map. That absolutely has a major play in him leaving.
I don't know. I don't think so. I feel like if the game was like his favorite CDL game, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I'm just guessing, I guess. Yeah, maybe it is, but I'm not. I also wouldn't be the guy to ask.
Yeah.
I've never watched Scump talk besides the videos we've seen surrounding this topic. So maybe, I don't know. I just find the jokes funny. But either way, yeah, Scump's retiring early. Did you see that video, that tweet?
I didn't watch the video. I started watching it. I'm like, oh, okay. I just looked at the comments. I'm like, oh, okay, he's retiring. Got it. It was funny though, because he had literally, I think, played a match the day prior, like his match, and like no one knew at that point. And then the next day he made the announcement.
Yeah.
You know, just wins a match and then bounces. But I guess he had said something about like
Giga Chad.
the struggles of managing competitive focus, content creation, and fan interaction. That's just like a way around from him saying he hates the game and doesn't want to play anymore. I mean, he doesn't do that much content creation. Most of them don't. They don't because they play pros. So
yeah. No, I think he's right about that. If you're like forced to scrim fucking 12 hours a day, you're not really going to want to stream or have much time to.
Yeah.
So like, I get it. And by the way, I'll also add this. Good for him. He's insanely popular. He could probably make more money by just focusing on content creation full time and also have way less stress in his life.
Yeah. I mean, he's the most
streaming.
Probably well-known CDL player of all time.
I would imagine so. Yeah.
Everyone knows that name.
Yeah. So good for him. It's cool. And yeah, if he's done,
Wonder if he'll start playing Warzone a lot.
I would imagine so. Yeah. Because
I don't think he likes Warzone that much, but that's where he'll get views
exactly
and money.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that allure is going to be strong enough to get him there. He also did win like a Warzone tournament. I don't remember what it was.
It was it was that like 100K solo one versus Aiden, I think, right? When they were all using like riot shields and shit. I think that was the clip. Yep. That was it.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. Like, he's obviously going to be a very good Warzone player, so I think that's probably likely where you'll see him. But anyway, yeah, just thought I would mention that.
Yep.
Other than that, Tanner Dropshot, anything else?
Nope.
All right. Well, that's it, guys. Very excited for season 2. I am very curious what the exciting changes will constitute. Next week, we are going to get an in-depth blog post where we will get some details on this. So tune in, especially next Thursday, when we go over whatever that blog post is, and we can analyze exactly what these changes are going to be. I'm very excited to learn what the changes are going to be, and I'm likewise very excited to actually play with them when season 2 launches. So a lot of finally, some exciting news coming up shortly for Call of Duty and for the podcast. I'm very excited for that blog post, and hopefully it comes out before Thursday of next week so we can get into it, sink our little fucking teeth in. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Patreon.com/thedropshot. 5 bonus eps a month, ad-free episodes, early access episodes. We do other things as well, monthly hangouts and more. If you want to support the program, get some bonus content, patreon.com/thedropshot is the best way to support the program. We will be back here live on Saturday for a podcast about something. We'll figure it out. Stay humble.
Stay humble.